Welcome to the Orchard Hard Drive.
Dear Diary, it's me, Art, back again, finally writing about what I've been up to. It's been about a week since I've last written, and a lot has happened. Klonk, my goblin friend, and I have been making our way to Bilberry. It's been incredible so far. Like, here in Nullgorth, you'll stop to look at the beautiful scenery when suddenly a huge dragon will swoop overhead. Klonk was telling me most in Nullgorth are tame and wizards fly around in them. We started out on foot, then got a lift to a nearby town. While wizards might fly around on dragons, on the roads you'll see a kind of hovering car. It's sort of dome-shaped with a huge round orb underneath floating around. It's incredible here. We were dropped off at the town of Rustyback. People here are quiet for the most part. A few gnomes and goblins mostly live here. But we started chatting with the woman who owned the inn we stayed at. She told us about an abandoned tower. It was about 2 kilometres out of town. She said a sorcerer was said to have lived there 1,000 years ago. Klonk got all excited. He apparently loves ancient ruins. I don't get it, but Klonk wanted to explore it. I mean, I'm not exactly in a hurry, so why not? I thought it might be fun to see. We decided we'd go the next morning. I went around and restocked on supplies, including some electric torches. I thought they might come in handy. We arrived at a local guide. He led us so far, but then stopped. He refused to go any further. He said the sorcerer who had lived there had been legendarily evil. Now I take that kind of warning seriously. I mean, call me basic, but if you find yourself on an essentially fantasy planet and a guy said there used to be an evil sorcerer, I'm going to avoid it. But Klonk was made only more excited now. I protested, but he insisted and started walking towards it. I couldn't let him go alone, so I followed. We walked through the overgrowth till we saw it. The destroyed tower. There wasn't much of a tower to speak of, just the lower half. Klonk walked up and pushed the door open. It was extremely stiff after not being used for centuries. Inside, there were plants all over, and some rat-like things, except they walked on their hind legs. They scattered away as we entered. There, on the ground, was a trapdoor. Klonk reached down and opened it. It led to some stairs that trailed off into the deep darkness of the basement. We started to descend. Klonk turned back and with a stupid smile in his face asked if I could imagine what kinds of things were in the sorcerer's basement. I reached into my bag and took out the 2 torches. I handed one to Klonk and we pointed them around. Inside there were lots more ruins, columns laid around the place. Then I waved my torch over something. It was round and silver. I pointed it in that direction, trying to get a better look. I thought it was maybe some treasure. But then it started to move. The dust fell off, and a figure dressed in silver armour stood up. Myself and Klonk stood in silence. Then it turned to us. A raspy voice told us we were trespassing, and that they were there to protect the sorcerer. It started to move towards us. Then it pulled out a sword. It glinted in the torchlight. It spoke again in that raspy voice, telling us we would not leave here alive. We tried to make our way back out, but it moved towards us very quickly, leaping over columns, eventually standing between us and the exit. Then Klonk said how the sorcerer he'd been protecting had left here. They'd been gone for thousands of years. They stopped for a moment. We couldn't see the face of the person inside the armour. It was this cold helmet with just a shadow inside. Then, in that same raspy voice, said we were lying, and we would suffer. It raised its sword again and began to swing. Then one of the rat-like creatures fell down from the ceiling and knocked its helmet off. There was nothing inside. It was just the armour. It flailed around trying to fight the rat creature that had already scampered off. We didn't waste any time and started to run up the stairs. We had barely gotten to the top when we heard the knight running up the stairs after us. We bolted out of the trapdoor, out of the tower. We could hear the armour clanging after us. Then the knight arrived at the top, and after 1,000 years, it saw the sun. We hid behind some trees. We watched as they looked at the tower. They seemed to realise we were right. It had been abandoned here. They dropped their sword and seemed depressed. I don't know why, but I went towards it. Klonk tried to stop me, but I called out, I told the knight, very nervously though, I said to them that it would be okay. The knight looked at me, I think it did anyway, and kind of waved, a half wave, and then in their raspy voice asked if it had really been 1,000 years. I nodded. They looked back at the ruins, then back at us, and asked what it would do now. What was their purpose? Klonk, feeling a little braver, sheepishly said it was up to them now. They were free to do whatever they wanted. It seems kind of stupid to say a helmet smiled, but it did in a weird way. Then I turned and walked off into the woods. It's been a few days now, and I haven't seen any sign of it. The knight didn't go towards Rusty Back while we were there for a day after. I wonder if I'll ever see them again. It was a mixture of absolutely horrifying and sad. But I'd like another encounter. I hope I meet more like that on my travels through Nullgorth.